I interviewed Katrina Lee. She's the manager of the Mirage. She's been in the industry for over 10 years. She was a stripper herself at one point, a couple years. And she manages all the strippers at the Mirage and several other clubs throughout Western New York. She has her own stripper clothing line and business. She's one of the few females who can be successful off this industry, and her net worth is actually over $1 million. She did that mostly through saving her money, though. She's very educated, and she actually has her bachelor's and master's degree in gender studies from UB. The number one thing that Kat wanted me to emphasize in my presentation today is that stripping is not glamorous, it's not easy, it's exhausting physically and emotionally, and it's a hostile environment for any woman to work in. So she really is not for it, even though she works in the industry, but she's kind of neutral. She sees the bad and she sees the good. I have some video clips from my interview with her. These are just some short ones.
There's been a lot, actually. 10 years in the industry, I was at the Sundowner when the Hells Angels from Ontario came in, shot the bouncer, and held us all hostage in the building. I was in here during a giant Hells Angels fight. I was at the cordial for a stabbing of an 18-year-old who was underage by 4 Puerto Ricans. I was in Chit Chat for 2 shootings. I was in a stabbing on the Puerto Rican Day Festival in September in Mademoiselle. I was at 24 Carat when they got raided by the FBI and shut down.
Wow.
And at Tally Ho when the girl stepped on a dirty needle of heroin.
So it's a very unsafe environment. And I realized that because I was actually there at the strip club, so for me it was, I guess, risky for me to go there, but
as much about it because it is good and bad. Like, it's not the industry, it's a person in the industry. Now, I was strong while I danced. I don't do drugs. I didn't get sucked into it. I didn't really drink that much. I saw it as a business. Like, I viewed it as the girls, like, as products, and you're selling yourself. So, like, you start sliding, you're not, like, top shelf name brand, you're generic more, you, like, buy a new outfit, you change your music, you target it, like, strictly business. Now, the girls who I find who idolize it are like, oh, I'm so hot, guys are telling me, like, I'm lucky, I make $500 a night, look at me, are the ones who in 10, 15 years end up, like, working the streets and stuff like that, or they idealize it, they don't understand, they're looking for someone to support them like a sugar daddy, they're not getting out. Now, the girls who actually are in school usually are the ones, I'm going to make this much, I'm going to get the hell out, I have a goal, I'm going to be like my car, you know, I'm going to do this, that, and they're the ones who are fine and, like, really become more successful, but it interferes with relationships, it damages how you respect your body. Certain things that don't affect you after a while because you got to tone yourself down or you can't dance. So you get used to it and you become numb, and that's why I'm actually setting up a rehabilitation facility and working on it where women can learn how to love their bodies after.
And she actually is. She's setting up a rehabilitation center through the profits that she's made in this industry. One thing I didn't like is that, you know, she states that the women, their products and the name brand versus the generic. That's not very feminist-like, even though the third wave feminists see it as liberating. So that is a little bit confusing to me. And that kind of hit me because I was under the belief of the third wave feminism where, you know, it's liberating, it's women can do what they want, but, I mean, are they exploiting themselves or are they making things better? I don't know.
Is she having these questions so people to answer or just talking? Just talking. Okay.
So no one's ever been raped or anything bad happened, but in Erie, they have private closed-off rooms, and stuff like that has happened. I've heard that. Now, not from a girl or a dancer I know, a police officer who had arrested a customer in the club told me that that club goes further, that a guy was going down on a girl and he bit her clit, or like ripped it right off, and she had to go to the hospital. and everything, and like that is what caused the police and FBI to start investigating the club.
Oh my God, that.
But I mean, she shouldn't even been allowing that to happen. That club shouldn't have been allowing that to happen as a whole. Like that shouldn't happen. But there's a lot of like, you get guys who love women and think they're so beautiful, and you get guys who hate women and just want to come here and knock them down and say the meanest stuff in the world. You get some guys who be like, "You're gorgeous. I never saw you as beautiful as you," and shower you with flowers and everything. And then you're gonna get some guy be like, "What's that stretch mark on you? Oh my God, is that a pimple on you?" And just belittle you for no reason.
Holy crap. Kicked it in jaw. Kicked it in motherfucking jaw.
Yeah, so, I mean, certain things I didn't include from the interview, but those are some clips from it. Some of the things that she said that I kind of highlighted on, these are her statements, not research statements, is, in her belief, 8 out of 10 women who get into stripping come from foster homes where they receive physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. Stripping is often an escape for many young girls, a way to make fast money and get out of their situation at home. A myth is that many of them are college educated. Many of the times these girls will lie that they are in college. They are, in Kat's words, hustlers. They have street smarts. Many of the girls at different clubs around the area are avid drug users. This is a very dangerous work environment to work in. There is often a lot of violence that occurs in these clubs. And it's not just violence of the men towards the women, but it's also violence between the women. This is just a little cartoon kind of thing, representative of prostitution. It says, "I hate when they act like I'm raping them." And the woman says, "Only 8 more today, then I can feed the kids, pay the rent and tuition." And for many women, this is true. And this is the only way for them as a livelihood. According to UN estimates, approximately 2.5 million people are being trafficked around the world at any given time. 80% of them women and children. So yes, there are men, but the majority are women and children. Conservative estimates suggest that the sex industry generates some $32 billion annually. However, estimates of income generated from prostitution in one city, Las Vegas, are as high as $5 billion. And in Las Vegas, of course, they do have legal brothels. At least 75% of prostitutes were sexually and physically abused as children. The average age of entry into prostitution is 14 years old. This study I felt was very interesting. It was done recently. Instead of just looking at the women who are prostitutes, this study actually looks at the men and the men who buy sex. And in this study, a sex buyer is defined as anyone who visits strip clubs, watches pornography, and uses the services of prostitutes. So any of those 3 categories. And sex buyers were far more likely than non-sex buyers to commit felonies, misdemeanors, crimes related to violence against women, substance abuse-related crimes, assaults, crimes with weapons, and crimes against authority. And that really kind of sticks out. The sex buyers masturbated to pornography more often than non-sex buyers, obviously. And they imitated it with their partners more often and had received their sex education from pornography more than non-sex buyers did. Significantly more of the sex buyers learned about sex from pornography, so that just kind of stands out as well. This is a quote from one prostitute. She said, "A lot of these Johns, the ones that have abundance of wealth, tend to feel they can have whatever they want, and money can buy anything." Researchers interviewed 202 men between the ages of 20 and 75, with the average age around 41. Half of the men bought sex, explaining this is a common answer is, "You can have a good time with the service." Nearly 100% of the men interviewed said minors are always available for purchase. Minors as in children. So that is very scary. The sex buyers often voiced aggression towards women and were nearly 8 times as likely as non-buyers to say they would rape a advertisement I thought was kind of interesting because it starts off, tired of mindless, dead-end jobs, seeking a career with flexible hours, like to work with people, no experience necessary, no age minimum, no high school diploma required, on-the-job training provided, special opportunities for children, poor women, single mothers, women of color. Women and girls applying for this position will provide the following services:
Some bullshit.
being penetrated orally, anally, vaginally with penises, fingers, fists, animals, and objects, including but not limited to bottles, brushes, and guns. Being bound and gagged, tied up with ropes and or chains, beaten with hoses, burned with cigarettes, and hung from hanging trees. And these are the things that many prostitutes endure. And I just thought it was interesting because you notice there aren't any requirements. It's very open, so it's very appealing to some women because it's a job where you can make a substantial amount of money to bring home to your family, and you don't have to have an education. You don't have to be anything but yourself to do this job. But the catch is it's not safe. Prostitution has been euphemised as occupational alternative for women as an answer to low-paying, low-skilled, boring, dead-end jobs, as a solution to the high unemployment rate of poor women, as a form of sexual liberation, and a career women freely choose. So we go to the point where isn't prostitution mostly a choice? When prostituted women are asked if they want to leave prostitution, consistently around 90% say they want out immediately. But the decision is out of their hands and in the hands of their pimps, their husbands, their landlords, their addiction, and their children's bellies. A recent study of street prostitutes in Toronto found that 90% wanted to leave but could not. And a 5-country study found that 92% wanted out of prostitution. If they are there because they cannot leave, are they choosing to be there? This I found interesting because this just happened, and I actually didn't find out about it until the other night or so, but Ontario, Canada, they just legalized prostitution on March 26th. And it'll begin in 2013. It was done in an effort to better protect current sex workers. There will be many rules and regulations that the brothels will have to abide by to make it safer. It'll take women off the street and bring predators into the light. Pimping will be considered illegal, so that anyone that's pimping will be arrested. Many people are very upset about this and feel it will affect Western New York and it will affect our economy. A lot of people are worried that a lot of people who are in poverty here will come to Canada and begin working in the brothels. And I just have a quick little video clip from a news report on this.
All new at 5:30 is a brothel coming to a border town near you. Good evening, I'm Diana Fairbanks. We begin across the border tonight where Ontario's highest court has legalized brothels. So what does this mean for American neighborhoods near the Canadian line? News 4's Luke Moretti is asking for you. Luke?
Well, perhaps it means that our international bridges will soon be busier than they already are, because this is one area that Western New York won't be able to compete with. The idea of legal brothels in Ontario is raising lots of questions.
Where are they going to have these things?
These days, prostitution is a hot topic, provoking heated debate.
Shady business, right?
The landmark decision was handed down by the Ontario Court of Appeal. It means sex workers in the province will be able to hire drivers, bodyguards, and support staff and work indoors. Michael Delgado is the Niagara director of the Ontario Criminal Lawyers Association.
It should be regulated. It was made legalized. 30 days to appeal the ruling to the Supreme Court of Canada. As I understand it, they will be appealing.
If that happens, a higher court will review it, and that will be the final word. Ontario residents we've talked to believe this is trouble with a capital T.
And there's a lot of unemployment around here too, so you know a lot of the women might convert to this trade because there's a lot of ways to make money, right? The last thing I'd want is for one of my sisters or one of my cousins or an aunt or something like that working there.
The court's decision still prohibits soliciting customers on the street and is binding in Ontario only.